Start recording. Good. Last week we talked about the corporate strategy. Okay, we talked about the corporate strategy. Anybody remember what is the purpose of the corporate strategy? There are a lot of the different corporate strategies, and we can apply. But however, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of the corporate strategy? No, that's a general purpose of the strategy. Corporate strategy. We learned about the corporate strategy, and we learned about the different levels of the strategy. Okay, different level, like a national level, industry level, corporate level, and team or the group level, and the individual level. There are different levels of the strategy. And okay, overall, the main purpose of the strategy is win without fighting. I know. However, what is the specific purpose of the corporate strategy as an organization? What is the clear purpose of the corporate strategy? Okay. I must show that. Give me a second. What is the clear purpose of the corporate strategy? Makes profit? No, that's the purpose of the business. That's the purpose of the business. Okay. Who's that? Oh, Miko comes. Okay, here. What is the main purpose of the corporate strategy? Hi, Miko. The main purpose of the corporate strategy is to achieve okay. So here, what is the main purpose of the corporate strategy? The main purpose of the corporate strategy is to achieve the not achieve the goal. Yeah, I know that's a strategy. Hey, what do you hear from me? Okay, so grows. The main purpose of practically speaking, the main purpose of the corporate strategy is to achieve the sustainable growth of an organization or the business entity. Please, okay. So I know that it's totally mingled. It's totally mingled. The main purpose of the strategy is to win without fighting. And in order to win without fighting, we need to create we need to create a competitive advantage. Okay. And how to win without fighting? Absolutely, we need to create and sustain the competitive advantage. That is true. And however, that is overall. But however, practically speaking, what is the main purpose of the corporate strategy? Is achieve the sustainable growth, not maximizing the profit. If I have to choose that the growth or the maximizing profit as a corporate decision maker or the organization decision maker, I'd better to choose that the growth, not making profit, because I want to make my business is more sustainable. Okay, good. Achieve the goals, get things done effectively and efficiently. That is a management. Okay, that is a management mainly. Okay, and we learned about the internal growth and the external growth. Whatever. Okay, we learned about that the many kinds of the corporate strategies. Okay, corporate strategies. However, a long story short, the main purpose of the corporate strategy is achieve the sustainable growth. In order to make a growth, there are two ways: internal growth and the external growth. Internal growth is continual innovation. Absolutely good. However, as practically speaking, and then as a business problem solver, we are much more focusing on external growth. External growth. Is that external growth? External. Yeah, where is the growth? External growth. Okay, external growth. Okay, where is external growth? Okay, whatever. So in order to make external growth, we have two ways. So first one is the M&A, buying a new business, and another one is strategy alliance. However, yeah, personally, from my experiences, from my business experiences, M&A. M&A is the best way to searching for the business growth. So that we talk a lot about it, M&A, when we talk about a corporate strategy. M&A, M&A. And however, the why we make a lot of M&A, because that's the best way to penetrate the new market and the new business quickly. And then why we need to buy, even though that the success ratio of the M&A is very small, less than the 20%, why we continually try to do that? Because that's the best way. Because that's the best way to make a growth. Okay, and this is the consequences of the diversification of the global diversification throughout the corporate strategy exercise. Okay, more simplification. Then, yeah, as you can see, many of the global players are merged, and then they owned and they dominate a market. Global players, they are the global leaders. They are the global players, aren't you? They are global players. They are really large. Global multinational corporations dominate our market. So then we need to talk about it, the global strategy. Okay, that is what we learned last week. Corporate strategy. Okay, corporate strategy is to achieve that the sustainable growth. And then, in order to make a sustainable business growth, you'd better to buy. It's better to take over another business. That is the best way. Okay, good. So then, this way we will talk about it. No, we're doing not corporate strategy. That is a global strategy. Global strategy. Okay. Good, global strategy. And okay, so I have a question. Okay, and do you agree or disagree? Do you agree that we are living in the global era? Do you agree or disagree? We are living in a global era. Like, okay, so we can go anywhere in the world, and the many outsiders comes to the China, and we can do whatever we want outside of or inside of the China, or we can go anywhere in the world. That's a global. The world is okay. Good. But however, recently we have a different situation. Whatever. Okay. So then, a few years ago, Thomas Friedman, a brilliant mind of the business, and he proposed that the world is flat. Okay. Another word. The world is global. And do you believe that the world is flat, or that the world is global? We are living in the one globe. The world is flat, or the world is not flat? The world is global, or the world is not global? Iris, no, technical problem again. Global, I think. Olivia comes. Hey, Olivia. I think so. And then, yeah, that's the argument from Thomas Friedman. Thomas Friedman. And Thomas Friedman summarized that how the world is getting more flat and how the world is getting connected, how the world is getting more global, how we become one. Okay, how our society become one. And he proposed a few number of very interesting globalization issues. Globalization. Okay, so then, do you believe that this is the first globalization era? No. Actually, the globalization was started many years ago, around 500 years ago. And then Thomas Friedman proposed that the globalization 1.0, that is imperialism and colonialism driven by the nation like UK or the Dutch or the French and many European nations, they conquered the Indonesia, Vietnam, or China in 1950s and the 1960s, and especially for the South America. And actually, the USA was the colony of the UK. That was built in the 1976. That's the consequences of the first globalization. And at the time, the globalization 1.0 was driven by the nations. Okay? Makes sense. The first globalization, that was occurred around the 400 years ago. Good. And the second globalization was occurred through by the driver of the industrialization like the 18th century or the 19th century, and multinational companies driven by the corporations. Okay, like an industrial revolution. That is related with the industrial revolution. Okay, industrial revolution. And the globalization 3.0 is all level and the area driven by the ICT technology, like a computer or internet. And however, though, anybody is saying about the globalization 4.0, but however, we are now thinking about it. Okay, we may have a different style of the globalization. However, personally, I disagree. I disagree with this categorization, because we are Asians. In the perspective of the Asian perspectives, okay, the first globalization. Can you identify the first globalization in Asia? What is the first globalization? First globalization of Asia? Anybody can say in Asia? Actually, it's far older than the Western globalization. What would be the first globalization? WYO? Why? Who? WTO? No. The first globalization in history. First globalization in Asia. We can trace back around, that's before the Christ, 2,000 years ago. The first globalization in Asia. No, that's the second. What is Zhangqian? Can you let me have the Chinese letter? And okay. And however, personally, I think that the first globalization, first Silk Road, Silk Road, probably what is that? Yeah, probably that is related with the first Silk Road. Zhang Chuan, Chinese official, Chinese official and the diplomat who served as an imperial convoy of the world outside of the China. Yeah, late 2nd century BC during the Han. Exactly. Yeah, that is what I am saying. That is what I am saying. Zhang Chuan. Yeah. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, he developed what? What? He developed the Silk Road. And that's a start of the, that's a start. That's a start of the globalization. Don't you think so? That was occurred BC 200. So, Asia, we made the first globalization in our history. Okay, and what is the second globalization in Asia? I think that's a one dynasty. No. In Asia. One dynasty. One dynasty's Horse Road in the north. So, personally, I think that the Asians made the first and the second and the globalization. And based on that kinds of things, and the Europeans follow. And the Europeans insist that they made a globalization by themselves. But actually, I don't think so. Asians made the first globalization. And we are very good at. Okay? Whatever. Okay. So that's my personal thinking. But however, please don't disguise. Don't disguise. Okay, so the Asians made the globalization first. Whatever. Okay, so then according to Western understandings, and they made it the globalization 1.0 and the 2.0, 3.0 by the nation and by the corporation and by the technology. Okay, so that's a more recent globalization. And unfortunately, okay, when the EU and the USA dominate globalization, okay, and then we Asians suffered. Whatever, okay, that happened. So why this kind of the globalization was occurred by the European or the US? And maybe so first globalization is occurred by the nations, and they want to strive with the another nations and make imperial something and then colonize and take everything from the colony. And the second globalization, that's driven by the corporations, and they want to sell more. Okay, and however, the globalization 3.0 is relatively new, and that is driven by technology. What technology, and why this kind of a globalization was happening? According to the Thomas Friedman, there are 10 factors, 10 globalization drives. We have 10 drivers of the globalization. Okay. And first one is a collapse of the Berlin Wall, and there was a big war between the communist society and the free society. However, that was collapsed. That was gone in 1989. And did you see the Berlin Wall collapse? Maybe no, but however, I observed that. I observed that by my hand, by my eyes. And then when I see the TV and the Berlin Wall was totally collapsed in 1985 and 1989. And before the 1989, and that there was no collaboration, there is no communications between the communist society and the democratic and the free society. capitalistic society. We totally had no idea. There was a start, and there was a Netscape, and then maybe you are using the Chrome or the Firefox, and that's the web browser. Okay, and before having the Netscape, we didn't have the web browser, and we must see, and we must use that. We must use a very sophisticated and a very dirty and a very uncomfortable something to get connected with the internet. But however, after having the Netscape, we are free to use any kinds of the internet access. That happens. And the workflow software like SMTP, HTML. HTML is related with your web browser, and uploading the open source or Wikipedia. And the free information. Information is accessible to everybody. And outsourcing, focus on the core value chain, outsourcing, and we can separate our functions of the operations to outside of the world. We can dramatically save our cost. And offshoring, no tariff, WTO, NAFTA, and then whatever. And the supply chain, okay, integrating the supply chain management, global supply chain management was started. And the insourcing, UPS or the inbound logistics is totally automated and totally the mechanistic and totally become managed. Okay, and informing the Googling flat information, and then if we call that is a democratization of knowledge. So if you want to know some knowledge, okay, you don't need to go somewhere, but you just type in, and then you can get what you need. If you want to learn about the quantum physics, absolutely, you can type into the quantum physics, and you can get tons of thousand informations. And however, before having the internet, we couldn't do that. If you want to learn about the quantum physics, you must go to the library. You must come to the specialist or the expert of the quantum physics to learn something. But now you don't need that. Okay, and the steroid, like a personal digital devices, you have a mobile device, and then anywhere in the world, you can get connected with anybody in the world. Okay, and the Thomas Friedman, he pointed out what is the key driver of this kind of the flat earth. And he pointed out, what is this? That is a fiber optics cable. Fiber optic cable. Do you know that? Fiber optic cable under the sea. So a long story short, and Thomas Friedman proposed this kind of the 10 flat earths. And however, if he just proposed one key driver of the globalization, that is a cable, fiber optics cable that connect with all around the world, internet cable. So then, okay, so here maybe you can see you are in China. Okay, how you can get connected with the US and how you can get connected with the Europe? Cable, fiber optics cable under the sea. Can you get it? Okay, the key driver of globalization 3.0 is cable, fiber optics cable that connect you with around the world. Okay, got it? Can you understand that? And do you agree with that? Yeah, maybe. Okay. And however, here is my question. Okay, so the globalization 3.0 is driven by that kinds of the cable technology, especially for the internet cable. Okay, and what will drive globalization 4.0? Any guess? And who will make it? What will drive the globalization 4.0? And who will make that technology? Who will make that driver? I don't know. I just guess. I just expect. Globalization 4.0 will be driven by a certain technology like quantum networking, quantum communication, quantum computing. That's integrated with artificial intelligence. That's my expectation. And who will make it? I don't know. Who may have a better human capital? This is the war for talent. Who will win the war for talent? Winners of the war for talent? Who can create the quantum computing, quantum networking, and artificial intelligence? And those, that nation or that society will win. That society will drive the first globalization. I don't know. I'm just guess. Maybe you'd better to think about it. Okay, good. Let's go forward. Okay, so what? The world is flat. The world is getting flattening. The world is getting more even, and the world is getting more networked, and the world is getting more global one, and we are becoming one. No. Okay, here is an uneven growth of something, uneven, and maybe you can see the China. Okay, China is the best benefactor. Who get the gains? Who get the money? Who get the benefit? A lot from the globalization. China is the winner in the globalization 3.0. Okay, China is the best winner in the globalization 3.0. India and Russia and the Middle East, the Sub-Saharan Africa and the Central Eastern and the Latin America, Japan no, Europe so-so, US not much. So developing countries. Developing countries gets many benefit from the globalization 3.0. Is it good or is it bad? Is it good or bad? Think about it. For China, that would be a blessing. That would be good. And for the US, not much. That is the reason why the US people hate the China. Simply because they lose. They lost their money. And the China gets a lot of money. Oh yeah, that is true. So then, however, okay, so that's a process of the world is getting more flattening. It's getting more democratizing. That's okay. But however, we need to understand. We need to understand who gains and who lose. Okay, many developing countries gains a lot. However, the many developed countries they not lose, but however they gains a lot. However, they gains a lot, but however relatively small. Okay, and what is the definition of the internalization or the globalization? The internalization or the globalization, in the perspective of the world economy, globalization is the process of the world economy become more integrated and more interdependent. That's the definition of the globalization in the perspective of the world economy, global economy. So we are getting more integrated, and we are getting more interdependent. We rely on each other. So maybe you can observe what's happening when the global supply chain management is broken. And yeah, I'm in Korea now. And however, the Korean automotive manufacturers like Hyundai, and they cannot produce the car because that they could not get the necessary part from China. Really? Why that happens? Because we are integrated. Our supply chains and our operations is totally integrated globally and more independently. Good. However, yeah, that is our global society, global economy. Yeah, that is a world economy perspective. However, there is another level of the firm level or the corporate level perspective. In the perspective of the corporate or the firm level, globalization is the process of the firms expanding beyond their domestic boundary. That company do not serve only for the domestic player, domestic customers, but however they are expanding their sales in outside of the domestic market. Okay, expanding beyond their domestic boundaries and competing worldwide. Your competitor is not a domestic competitor anymore. Okay, you are competing with the world best or the world class competitors because you are competing with in the global market regardless of the national boundaries. I don't care about the Chinese domestic market, but I am competing with somebody outside of China. For example, DJI. Do you believe that the DJI is selling their product only for the Chinese domestic market? No, DJI. They are looking for the global market. Why not? Absolutely. So we need to expand our thinking. We are not competing with the visible, the touchable, visible or the touchable competitors. No, our competitors are somewhere outside of the world. They are totally outside of the vision, and they are competing. We are competing with those kind of the invisible enemy. Okay, we are competing with invisible world class, strong competitor. Don't you think so? I think so. And I did that. And I was a Bosch engineer. And I produced that anti-rock breaker system, 8.0. And however, who was my competitor? I competed with the Denso, the Japanese company. I competed with the Delphi, the American company. I competed with the Mando in Korea. And I competed with what is that? The Singapore, no. Malaysian company. What is that? Proton. Yeah, Proton. Something like that. And do you know any company? Do you know any company of this? Delphi, Mando, Proton, Denso, Bosch. I don't know. And however, suddenly, so we got another competitor from Denmark. And we have another benchmark that competitor from Sweden. And I had a lot of very strong challenger from what is that? Where is that? Taiwan. And sooner or later, okay. So yeah, I must update myself. But however, there must be a few number of the strong competitor in China. We compete with somebody in somewhere. We don't know. That's the reason why we need to turn on our antenna. What's going on? External analysis. We must scan those boundaries. We must capture what is our competitors are doing all around the world. Okay, good. So then, in the perspective of the world economy, that's getting more integrated. In the perspective of the corporate level or the firm level, that's extending our market. Okay, good. So yeah, here is the Michael Porter's competitive advantage of national level, whatever. Okay, and the Michael Porter proposed that the diamond of the national advantage of the globalization. Okay, and why some nations get benefit from the globalization like China? Or the U.S. And do you believe that China make a lot of benefit from the globalization? And the USA, they'll lose their money because of the China? Absolutely no. US gains a lot. And the China and the US are the two biggest winners in globalization, I think. And how those China or the US gains a lot of benefit from the globalization. And then Michael Porter proposed diamond model of this. Okay, firms that succeed in global market had first succeed in the intensely competitive home market. Whatever, we'll talk about that later. But however, it's getting more failing. You know, the Michael Porter's saying of this is getting more failing. Okay, whatever. So according to Michael Porter, so in order to win over the globalization, in order to get a benefit of the globalization, firm strategy, structure, and the rivalry must be strong. Intensity of the competitor, like a Japanese automaker. So then, global players are trained in a domestic market and winning in the global market. And then the Michael Porter exemplified the Japanese automaker. But however, that is wrong. That is getting wrong recently. And the DJI has many domestic market. Do you think so? DJI is focusing on the domestic market of China because that is a Chinese company? Yes or no? I think that's wrong. Not anymore. Because we have more deep in the globalization. So then we don't need to focus on the domestic market anymore. And the world or the global market is the whole market. I don't care. We don't need to compete with the domestic market first. No. So when we just come into the global market, okay, whatever. And there is a demand condition and the market consumers, whatever, okay, and the related and the support industry, absolutely, supply chain, R&D, innovation, and the high-speed internet, and then all the China, the nation can provide those kind of supply chains or the infrastructure. And then a nation can give endowment like land, capital, labor, production, or the labor cost, or the governmental services, whatever. So a nation, a society can provide this kind of the invisible competencies, invisible infrastructure to make their the domestic players as a global player. That's the reason why the government to spend a lot of money to build up the land, the capital, labor, something, and then the Wenju Kane University was a part of that. In order to win over the invisible world-class competitors. Okay? Good, whatever. And there is a domestic demand. What if there is no domestic demand like a DJI or the another product? For example, maybe you don't know the foundry, the semiconductor foundry industry. I'm sorry, but however, that's the best example for this. And China do not have this kind of demand in global market. But however, outside of the China, and there are a lot of the huge demand of the foundry industry for the semiconductor and the ASIC chips, or the customer demand that customized the chips. But so, however, there are a few number of the small companies in China who has a very strong technology, who can build this kind of the foundry industry. And in that case, they are focusing on the Chinese market? No. No. There is no demand of the domestic demand. There is no domestic demand. However, how we can integrate the international demand? And here is an example of the India's Diamond software case. Okay, that is a software company. And do you know that India and many of the India has a strong software, not industry, software engineers. Do you know that? India has a very strong software engineering workforce. There are tons of thousands creative Indian software engineers. However, I believe that India has that kind of software industry. India has a domestic software industry? No, absolutely, there is no software industry in India. So then, how we can make the benefit in the global economy? So there is a global domestic lively factor endowment and the domestic demand. There is almost no domestic demand, but there is a strong demand from the worldwide, like the US. Okay, and then Indian government or the Indian society just to provide this kind of three things. No domestic, but directly to the global. That's possible, and we can observe this kind of things a lot recently. So, a long story short, going directly to the global market. Why not? And do you know the eBay? eBay in the US. Okay? And maybe you don't know. How many Chinese small businesses, how many small Chinese businesses directly export their product to eBay? It's really humongous. And why that was possible? Because Chinese government. Encourage that. The Chinese government provided the support and provided the land or a lot of the infrastructure to make the Chinese small players export their product to the worldwide or the global market throughout the eBay. That's possible. And then China gets a lot of money from that. Really? eBay is a Chinese network something? No, that's American. But however, we can go. US demand. Why not? That's quite unique. And all around the world, China is doing that. But however, Korea, no, we cannot do that. If we want to directly export from Korea to US, we need a very strong screening process. Japan can do that? No, we can. Japan cannot do that. Singapore can do that? No, they cannot do that. Taiwan can? No. Taiwan cannot do that. And almost China is one exception that exercise this kind of no domestic market, but the direct export market, global integration. I don't know why, but however, that gets a lot of benefit. India is a software, but however, China is manufacturing. Yeah, so yeah, that's a benefit. That's a benefit. Okay, good. And that is that. That is that. Size of the global arena. Maybe we can talk more about it. We can talk more about it. Okay, and we will keep talking about it, globalization, globalization in Wednesday, and that will be the that is will be the final live session. And so far, any question about the globalization? Yeah, globalization. Any question about it, the globalization? And yeah, I want to have a chance to talk about it, the recent the coronavirus issue in that affects or that make a lot of impact on the globalization. And then yeah, many of US is now reshoring, and however that it make a big impact of something, but however I don't think so. Whatever. I want to have a chance, but however yeah, we have a limitation. So I'm sorry for that. Anyway, any question? So far so good. Okay, good, good. So then, can I see you on Wednesday? Finally, that will be the final class. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I will be the what is that? Your graduation ceremony. I'll be there. Graduation ceremony, I will be there. But however, yeah, technically speaking, yeah, next the Wednesday class will be the last class, the last live session with you. Okay, then. Okay, then I will see you on Wednesday. And please complete your assignment. Okay, that will be the final one. And next week, no, nothing. I will see you. Bye, Olivia. Who's that? Bye, Nico. Bye, Lavin. Olivia, bye. Yeah, send me a picture. But I know you.